All right, we've got a big quarterback update on this afternoon, the day after the NFL draft. And some of this stuff is absolutely wild. What isn't wild is that the 49ers drafted a QB. We actually expected that to happen, and I'll go into a full explanation of why they picked Kurtis Rourke to join the room with Brock Purdy in just a little bit. But first, hot off the presses, well, the 49er sandwich from Deli Board. This is a lunch with Lombardi. This is the 49er and the Levi's sandwich from Deli Board. The Levi's sandwich just has Dutch crunch. The 49er, aptly named. It's the best sandwich on the menu. Corned beef and hot pastrami. Anyway, first, hot off the presses, this Shedeur Sanders news. He got prank called during his long free fall in the draft on day 2, and the Atlanta Falcons just released a statement that reads as such. Earlier in the week, Jax Olrich, the 21-year-old son of Atlanta defensive coordinator Jeff Olrich, unintentionally came across the draft contact phone number for Shedeur Sanders off an open iPad while visiting his parents' home and wrote the number down to later conduct a prank call. Jeff Olrich was unaware of the data exposure or any facets of the prank and was made aware of the above only after the fact. The Falcons do not condone this behavior and send our sincere apologies to Shedeur Sanders and his family, who we have been in contact with to apologize to, as well as facilitate an apology directly from Jax to the Sanders family. Unbelievable. You could read the rest of that note there. Jeff Olrich, this is the former 49er, Jeff Olrich, who's the defensive coordinator of the Falcons. Then he went over to the New York Jets, where he's the defensive coordinator under Saleh. We had floated around the possibility of Olrich coming to San Francisco to be the DC. Obviously, the 49ers now have Robert Saleh, and Olrich went to Atlanta. But it was his son who, at the very least, was the one that leaked the phone number to Shedeur Sanders. This was the biggest story of the weekend, right? Shedeur Sanders dropping all the way to the 5th round, where he was picked by the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if it was Jeff Olbrich's son, Jax, who actually conducted the prank call, but obviously he was connected to it. I think he was impersonating, or whoever made the call was impersonating the New Orleans Saints and their GM, Mickey Loomis. So, this is crazy. You can't script stuff like this. And Shedeur Sanders is a quarterback. He's now on the Browns. So that is our update. And I just thought that seeing the name Olrich up there, because we've been talking a lot about Jeff Olrich over the course of the past year plus or so, ever after the 49ers fired their defensive coordinator, Steve Wilkes, after the Super Bowl. The Jets wouldn't release Olrich from his contract, though, and then the 49ers hired Olbrich's boss, or former boss, Robert Saleh, this offseason. Anyway, to the 49ers quarterback situation. They drafted Kurtis Rourke at pick number 227 in the 7th round. If you looked at my mock draft up on the San Francisco Standard, I actually had the 49ers picking Max Brosmer, a quarterback out of Minnesota, at pick number 227 in the 7th round. So, no, it was not surprising that the 49ers picked the QB in this draft. Every single 49ers roster under Kyle Shanahan has carried 4 quarterbacks in the building. Over the past couple of years, it's been 3 on the 53-man roster and 1 on the practice squad once those 2 rosters were delineated, and that's after the end of the preseason, before the start of the regular season. So we knew that the 49ers were, again, going to operate with 4 in the building. They like doing that for practice purposes. They like having as many developmental prospects as they can in the building, because this is the most important position. So either through the draft or through undrafted free agency, the 49ers were going to add a QB this weekend. So this shock is absolutely ridiculous. We're seeing a lot of surprise from people. Oh, why would they draft a quarterback? Well, it was either going to be a UDFA, undrafted free agent, or a 7th round pick. The reason why you pick him in the 7th round is because you get an extra year of team control on the contract. If you sign somebody as an undrafted free agent, the contract by league rules is only 3 years long. But if you draft someone like the 49ers drafted Brock Purdy back in 2022 at number 262, you get a 4-year contract. So the team owns the rights to that player for 4 years. Quarterback is by far the most important position. So by the time you hit the 7th round, it's all a crapshoot anyway. 7th round undrafted free agent. A lot of guys actually don't want to get drafted in the 7th round so that they can choose who they sign with as an undrafted free agent. So there's a lot of jockeying behind the scenes, agents, team executives, when they are trying to figure out who they're going to draft in the 7th round and who they're going to sign. When the quarterback is as valuable as that position is, it makes sense to draft the QB and maybe fill out the rest of the roster by signing some other positions as undrafted free agents, because you do get that extra year of team control, which might end up very, very valuable. Look at Brock Purdy right now. He's about to negotiate one of the biggest deals in NFL history, for sure the biggest deal in 49ers history. It's being negotiated as we speak. And, well, the 49ers, his contract would have expired had he only been on a 3-year deal. San Francisco was considering trying to go after him as an undrafted free agent. John Lynch talked about that the other day, but there would be no guarantee that Purdy would have decided to sign with the 49ers had that been the case. So they just decided to draft him at 262, and that's definitely come in handy for the 49ers. I mean, there's a more extreme school of thought that actually preaches draft a quarterback every single season, because the position is so important, regardless of where you are, even if you have Patrick Mahomes, because the position is so important that you constantly want to be exacting that 4th year of team control on a contract featuring a quarterback year over year. Injuries can happen. The 49ers know that probably more than any other team in football. In the case of Kurtis Rourke, well, he fits what Kyle Shanahan is looking for at that quarterback position. He was a stud at Indiana last year, and he was tough as hell, too. He played through a torn ACL. Like, he literally played with a brace on a torn ACL. That injury was suffered in August, threw 29 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions for the Indiana Hoosiers, helped lead them back to the college football playoff. Not back. That used to be a basketball school. Now we can talk about Indiana as a football school, because they produced 2 49ers draftees, CJ West and then Kurtis Rourke, the quarterback who made his way to the 49ers in that 7th round. I think that in all likelihood, San Francisco is going to redshirt Kurtis Rourke this year. That's because he had surgery to repair that torn ACL that he played on throughout the 2024 season in January. Maybe he's ready by the time that September and October roll around, but they also have Tanner Mordecai in that quarterback room, and he could take over that QB3 spot. Kurtis Rourke, you put him on injured reserve this year if you don't think that he's going to be anywhere near ready for you and he still needs some developmental time at the NFL level. It won't cost you a roster spot. And yes, you'll still have the team control if you're the 49ers for 3 seasons after 2025. So injury stash, and you want that longer runway, right? If they had just signed him and he was an injury stash after the draft, they'd only have 3 years of team control. So this way, this contract is going to go 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028. There is value in that. It's a good business proposition. Quarterback is the most important position, and the 49ers want to continue adding players who they believe fit at that position to their room, even if they firmly believe in Brock Purdy. 49ers fans, more than anyone, should understand the need to cultivate depth in that quarterback room. I know what you guys remember back in 2022 when Brock Purdy hurt his elbow and all the other quarterbacks also got hurt, and the 49ers finished with Christian McCaffrey trying to throw a pass against the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship game. It was not particularly pretty. So you value this position, and quarterbacks, players are assets, right? And the quarterback position as the most important position, those are the most valuable assets. So if you're running a business, and the NFL is a business, you want to stockpile the most valuable assets at that quarterback position. The 49ers can fit 4 on the roster and still run a competent operation. Well, they were always going to carry 4 this year. That's how we knew they were going to add a quarterback entering this NFL draft. So drop the faux outrage. Don't let anybody act confused about this. If they act confused about why the 49ers drafted Kurtis Rourke, they just don't know what they're talking about. Big quarterback update. Deli board was really good too. The 49er or the Levi sandwich at Deli board. Lunch with Lombardi is in the books. We'll see you guys soon.